Hi, Phyllis here from southernfrugal.com. Today I'm going to make a squash casserole, and I'm going to use some squash that I got at the farmer's market. I actually got, a bushel of zucchini and a bushel of yellow squash back towards the end of October, and I froze them, and I think I might probably have 10 big packs in the freezer. And my original idea was to freeze them for stir fry. And they do somewhat work for that, but mostly they work best for squash casserole. So that's what we're going to fix today to sort of go with our leftover pot roast from yesterday. Alright, so this is a really simple recipe. Now in the 1960s is when I first remember having squash casserole at church gatherings and, family get-togethers and all. Somebody always brought squash casserole, and there are multiple ways to make it, but just here's the way I make it. I'm going to grate one carrot. I've already peeled it, and I'm going to grate one onion. And I'm using my purple onions because that's what I got at the farmer's market, and I'm just using those until they're all gone. Alright, so I'm going to grate these two things, the onion and the carrot, and we'll be right back. Okay, we have got our onion grated and our carrot grated. Now to this, I'm going to add 1 can of just cream of mushroom soup. Now, you don't add the extra water, so you definitely want to get the condensed cream of mushroom soup right there. And you're not going to add any water. So I'm just going to add that right in with my carrots and onions. I'm going to add 1 8-ounce container of sour cream. And you want the regular, sour cream. You don't want that fat-free kind. You want the regular sour cream. Alright, so I'm just going to mix that around a little bit. You don't have to mix it much, just get it kind of mixed in there. Alright, and then to this, I'm going to add 1 stick of butter that I melted in the microwave, and it actually ran over a little bit in my microwave. So you want to add that in. Mix it around a little bit. Now, that's our wet ingredients other than the squash and the zucchini that I'm going to add, but I'm going to add those last. Alright, now to this I'm adding 1 6-ounce box of stuffing mix, just a 6-ounce little box of stuffing mix, and this is just the Southern Home, which is the Bilo brand, but you can, any kind will work. Trusty scissors for the kitchen. So just dump that right in. Mix that all around. And you don't want to put any additional water in this. Alright, now we're ready to add our squash. So, here are my squash. They were frozen. Let me back off this a little bit. They were frozen, and I actually labeled it squash for stir fry. And they work okay, not real good for stir fry, but they work great for squash casserole. Now see, some of the water has come out from the squash when I defrost them. Now I defrost on defrost in the microwave. So I'm going to add all these squash and the juice that came out of them right to this other mixture. Because remember, you've got your stuffing mix in there with the dried breadcrumbs and everything. Now, when I do a squash casserole, I like to see actual squash. A lot of people, well, I don't want to say anything against them, but I don't like my squash all squished up. I want to actually be able to recognize some zucchini and some yellow squash in the casserole. So you just mix that all up with the water from the squash and everything. Now, if you're buying your squash fresh, which is a good idea, you would want probably 3 to 4 pounds, and you want to just slightly par cook them. You don't want to cook them till they're squishy. Just cook them until they're all, still firm, but pretty well done. All right, that's all there is to it. I don't put any egg or anything like that in mine. And I guess this would sort of be vegetarian. It's not vegan, but it would be vegetarian because it's got butter and sour cream in it. And the mushroom soup, I'm sure, has got milk solids in it, probably. All right, so I think we've pretty thoroughly mixed this now. I'm going to cook this in 2 small casseroles. One I'm going to freeze, and one will be eaten probably today and tomorrow. So let me get this out of the way. Now I have slightly greased my casseroles. I just put oil in because I'm really out of Crisco. You could also grease them with some butter. But you do want to grease them so this doesn't stick to the pan. Make sure that oil's kind of spread around. You could also spray them. Some of that, make sure it covers everything. All right, so now we're ready to just dump this in the casserole dishes. And I am dividing mine between these 2, but you could make it in one of those, 8 by 12 or 9 by 12, whatever that next size casserole dish is. I just do this because it's just the 2 of us, and I do like squash casserole, but we don't like it so well that I cook the great big one and then we would eat it all in a few days. That wouldn't happen. So I end up making it and freezing it. So we eat part of it now and then later, and this does freeze very well, but I do fully cook mine before I freeze it. So when I take it out of the freezer, all I have to do is put it in the microwave on defrost for probably 10 or 15 minutes, and it tastes like you just made it. Alright, so I've got zucchini and yellow squash in the casserole. And I've left them in, kind of big slices, really. So once you bake this, you'll actually be able to recognize a zucchini or a squash in there. Now, some people put cheese on this, and I do sometimes, but this particular time I'm just going to leave it like it is and not put any cheese on it, because really I think we've had enough cheese over the Thanksgiving holiday here. Alright, so we're going to bake this at 350 degrees for 35 to 45 minutes, and that'll be it. Alright, we'll be back when this gets done. Okay, the casserole is in the oven. I just wanted to mention this because I don't think I mentioned it earlier. You definitely don't want to add any additional salt because the mushroom soup, of course, has plenty of salt in it, and the stuffing mix also has plenty of salt. So you don't want to get it too salty, so I wouldn't add any extra salt. However, you could add some black pepper. That would be fine, but just really don't add any salt because it'll end up too salty. Alright, so we'll be back when it's done. Okay, our squash casserole is done, and it's actually cooked for about 45 minutes. And see, you can see the whole zucchini in there. There's one right there. Alright, I'm going to taste of this because one subscriber wrote in and said I never tasted of my food. Most of the time it's too hot, so I'm going to go ahead and taste of this. It's very hot. It's so good. And you really don't need any additional salt other than what's in the dressing mix and what's in the mushroom soup. Alright, I know that squash. To me, it tastes a little bit sweet because, of course, the squash are sweet. Sorry, I don't have my light on. Alright, I'm going to taste of it some more. Very hot. Very, very good. Oh, so southern. It really is. Very southern. All right, we'll see y'all next time.